move through the agenda.
Sure, let me pull that up. We are live now, and I'll start the recording.
All right, I am going to call this meeting to order at 4:05. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Adopt. Second.
All right, it has been moved and properly seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any additions, deletions, changes, anything like that? All right, hearing no objections to that, I will move it to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to just ask, Chairman's kind of prerogative is unanimous consent. While we wait for Romaine to get on, if it's okay with members of the committee and staff.
Mr. Chairman, I will say she came online just now.
We can give her a couple minutes to get settled and get ready. But I'd just like to ask unanimous consent to move the last agenda item forward and allow Mr. Froelich to go over his point, and then we'll allow Ms. Hayward to give her update at the end.
No objection.
All right, without objection, it's so ordered. So, Mr. Froelich, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you, Chairman and committee members. Just wanted to update you all and get your thoughts on a situation that we've been approached with regarding the powder magazine. So many of you might be aware, Powder Magazine is a historic building downtown on the peninsula. It is owned by the Colonial Dames of South Carolina. They ran into some financial hardship with attendance during COVID, and they have struggled with that since coming out. The museum has essentially been closed for a period of time. They have recently opened for half days on Friday and Saturday, but there's a gentleman that's representing the Colonial Dames that approached the city to see if the city would have any interest to engage in a conversation about possibly entering into a management agreement with the Colonial Dames to run the Powder Magazine. Obviously, the building is historic in nature. With the 250th celebration around the corner, I will tell you that staff does think it would be good if the Powder Magazine is opened and operating. Before we get into this conversation with them about a management agreement, we just wanted to see if this is something you all were comfortable with us even entertaining before spending any time and effort on it. I will tell you right from the beginning, if we were to do this, how we would probably approach it, and we've said this to them, is it would be treated very similar to how the management agreement with the state and the old Exchange Building Commission is handled. And essentially that is, the city has got carte blanche to run it how we see fit. The big piece of that is also that there is kind of a financial hold harmless to the city, that if it is in arrears or is running in the red, that the ownership group is responsible for covering that shortfall. We would make sure that is included in that agreement. I think that is probably the biggest financial concern. From an expense standpoint, obviously personnel has kind of been the biggest burden on them. We feel that we can manage it in a similar way like we do the old Slave Mart and the old Exchange Building, using agency temps, trained docents to help. We could probably use a couple people to do that. Where it kind of becomes a situation for the city is you still need management oversight of the building. So obviously we would probably, be a new special facility that fall under Romaine, and we would probably use the management team that operates the old Exchange and old Slave Mart. We would need to weigh the pros and cons of adding an extra facility under their purview. Might need to layer in some kind of financial bump to that team for taking on an additional building. But those are just early thoughts that we've had. But before we actually engage with them whether or not this is something that the city is willing to even entertain. We wanted to bring it to the committee and get your thoughts and feedback.
So I have one question, and then I'll open it up for the committee. So would there be a fee for service agreement in terms of would there be remuneration to the city from entrance fees or anything like that, just help offset some of the costs, or would we be fully taking it on with no remuneration?
Well, I think how we'd probably approach this is there's a few different pieces to this. One, I think we would create an expected draft budget of what it would take to operate per year. We would get the Colonial Danes to approve that, probably recognizing that there is going to be a shortfall in maybe year one and year two, and require whatever that budgeted, agreed upon budgeted shortfall is, that money would immediately be put in an escrow up front to cover any of that. That way, that does kind of hold harmless from the city, because they don't have the backing like the state, the Old Exchange Commission has with the state, that kind of money. So have to ask for that up front. One thing our team at Old Exchange, Old Slave Mart, or no, excuse me, yeah, Old Exchange and Old Slave Mart think could be beneficial is they sell a combination ticket at those two facilities. They think that we could look at adding the powder magazine as a third option to that combination ticket, whether someone buys a ticket to all three facilities or kind of a pick two kind of situation, and that might help boost the revenue. But essentially we would kind of come up with this to making sure the city, is held harmless financially, and try to get that facility running, break even or a profit, hopefully by year three. But we would obviously include outs in the agreement as well. Kind of I think the first question I would have is, how long of a term would we be willing to do, to test this out, 3, 4, 5 years.
Right. All right. I see Councilmember Bowden has his hand up. Councilmember Bowden.
Well, that just answered a lot of my questions. But I think it's a great thing to, have as a, other cultural asset operating downtown. So I think it'd be great to move forward with this, if we're not going to be on the hook for a bunch of money or anything.
Yeah, I agree. As long as we're not going to be on the hook for having to cover any budgetary shortfalls, and I wonder if, and Matt, maybe you can kind of thought partner on this, but if the Explore Charleston, if we take that over as another cultural asset that the city kind of operates, working in kind of in the tourism management plan in terms of how they advertise, making sure that that might get a little bump up in the advertising, just so that we're able to generate demand for folks going to it.
Absolutely. So with your all's just acknowledgement, I think what we would like to do is, we would like to maybe kind of put together some preliminary deal points to present to the representative for the Colonial Danes, get their feedback. Obviously, we need to have a conversation with the mayor, make sure the mayor is good with this. And we would ultimately come back to the Special Facilities Committee with an actual agreement, and then we go to full council.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, I don't think we need a motion now, but if there's a consensus that we could allow staff to move forward with coming up with an agreement that can come back to us, I think that would be the proper path forward, unless there's any objection from any members of the committee. All right, hearing no objection, Matt, you can proceed with that if you want.
All right, thank you all.
Yep, no, thank you. And I'll move to the reordered agenda with Romaine providing a special facilities update. Welcome, Romaine.
Thank you, and sorry I was late. We have a literary festival moving into the building and is making more noise than I anticipated. So I had to, they came with a large crew this time. since we just talked about the powder, and thank you, Matt. And since we just talked about the powder magazine, I'm going to start with the Old Exchange. If anybody's been around the building lately, you see that it's covered with scaffolding right now. There's some painting work being done. There's some checking of the woodwork. Kuzer Painting Company is there, Smart Renovations. This is all being not coming out of our budget, but it's just like an inspection of everything just to make sure it's good, all the outside wood, making sure everything's evaluated and painted. They're also pressure washing the building. And that staff has been really busy lately with the 250th coming up. They've been doing a lot of weekend events off-site. Just recently, they went to the Lake City Living Tour. They were also at the State Fair in Columbia with the 250 exhibit. We also have a request for the Denmark Vesey painting, which is I was a little confused about this, but I thought it was owned by the state, but it's owned by the city. Mother Emanuel wants to take the painting as a loan, so we're trying to get the paperwork together to see if it can be loaned to them for their opening whenever that happens. We don't have a time or date on it, but we're just trying to get everything in place to see if it can be done. Let's see. I'm going to skip over to the Angel Oak. They're still pouring in a lot of visitors. It was down last month because of all the rain and flooding and thunderstorms and whatnot. And just the last couple of months, they've done a couple of national commercial shoots. Last month, they did Volvo car company did a shoot out there. And then we had a film company come do some B-roll for the Mother Emanuel story. And they did a promo for Pauly Shepard's documentary that came out, I guess about 2 weeks ago. And this is good because if you notice, most of the national commercials, they do it with AI. I don't know if everybody saw the one during the Super Bowl. It was a religious commercial with all the kids around the tree. It was a beautiful commercial, but it was not filmed at the Angel Oak, even though we were there in the background. AI is a wonderful thing. It can make it look really real. We've been also having some phone line issues out there. IT has been working on it for a while. For about a month and a half, the gift shop did not have any phone lines. Now it has phone lines just going to a phone line going to the credit card machine. We were down credit card machine. So if they had any big purchases or whatnot, we've just been having Barbara call one of the other facilities, and we would run the credit and send the person the receipt and whatnot. IT has had AT&T out there since Friday. They were out there all day, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They were out there. They claim it's some kind of network issue. So anytime you call the gift shop, you get a recording saying that it's out of business, out of service, or whatnot. But IT says there's nothing that they can do, and they're trying to put pressure on AT&T to get this done because it's been down. We're going on the third month. So I've been fielding a lot of their calls. I guess people get me from the internet and ask me questions, and I get Barbara in touch with them. So it's just been.
Maine, if you don't mind, I see Councilmember McBride has his hand up.
I'm sorry. Yes,
that's
Mr.
right. Yeah, thanks, Councilman Brady. Yes, Ms. Hayward, do you know off the top of your head the general timeline of the kind of the remodeling of the Angel Oak area with Low Country Land Trust? I know it's about at least a year out, but do you happen to know the latest?
I do not. They've been pretty quiet lately, and we haven't had any meetings or updates lately. I did send an email, but I didn't get anything back. But to their I just sent it yesterday, so they probably didn't see it. But no, I don't have an update for that. I'm sorry.
From Councilmember Frye, I think there's kind of two things at play here. I think early cost estimates of the project came back much higher than expected. So the land trust is actively kind of fundraising and seeking grants and other funding sources to close that gap and move the project forward. They've also had a change recently with the executive director. So I think those two things are at play right now.
What was the last thing you said about the executive director?
They have a new executive director. They recently had a change over.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for the update.
We've been having some issues with the bathrooms out there with all of the rain and the flooding and whatnot. At one point we had some rain leaks, and we had to close it down for about 2 weeks over the summer, and Parks got that fixed, got the wood on the floor and the ceiling fixed. We also had a problem with the pump out system, and it had to be closed for a while too, so it can get some welding work done to get the pump out done. I don't know if there was anybody complaining about the bathrooms, but I think for probably 2 weeks out of 2 weeks out of the month of August and 2 weeks out of the end of July, they were down, but everything is up and running right now. And the Dock Street Theater, lots of things going on over there. We're having some lighting issues in the building, and it's not just a simple thing of switching on lights and switching off lights. It's on a system. It's just to the actual office buildings and the tourist spots. It's not affecting the stage area right now. And Parks has found a company that works on the lighting system, and they're out of Greenville. And the date they gave us from the time we called them was like 2.5 weeks before they can come down and look at it, which they did on the 28th. And they think that they can fix it, but we have no idea how much it's going to cost or when they're going to get to it. So we're hoping we can get that done quickly. Parks is on that. Mike is handling, and we are also getting the flooring redone in the Dock Street. It hasn't been redone since the renovation in 2010. We thought we were going to have it done this summer, but we had some issues with the contractor. So what we're doing now, we're doing it in sections. We're going to do the third floor probably in 2 weeks. Mike says that he thinks that it could be done, so that wouldn't affect anybody to the public. And then we're going to try to schedule the rest of the stuff in between Charleston stage shows and other events at the theater. The longest break we have during the year is in January, and that's just about a 2-week span. So we're going to see what we can do in that time.
I mean, would that include the flooring on the main level with the seating eventually, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it includes the inside of the theater. It includes the lobby, the box office, the conference room upstairs, the offices, and Charleston stage office, and also the tap room.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yes. Let's see. And like I said, the literary festival starts tomorrow, and they're moving in, and they're going to do this is the first time they're going to do the whole festival at the Dock Street, 10 days worth of fun. They have some exciting guests. Tomorrow we have Jenna Bush. She's going to be there, I believe, at 10:30 in the morning. Jake Tapper, Jim Clyburn, they're all pushing books. I'm sorry, not pushing books. They are
promoting.
Thank you. And a lot of other great artists, but those were the top 3 that stood out to me, and probably the top 3 that are sold out so far. We are also in the middle of tackling Charleston Stage's contract. They do a 5-year contract with the building and with real estate, and it ends in April. So we're just starting to put that together now, because there's lots of things that we want to change and add. And we're doing that with real estate, Melina, and also Liz Deeks, because she has some ideas of what she wants done. And we had a couple of other changes, but we don't expect any red flags or any problems to arise from it. Things have just kind of changed since their leadership has changed, and we just need to put a couple of things into writing just to make sure that they're being complied with. We've changed over our ATM machines over at the Dock Street. We went to Clover machines. The city is moving away from the little swipe card machines in a money saving event. And everybody who has the Clover machines, the Maritime Center along with the Dock Street seems to love it so far, and it'll be slowly phased into the rest of our buildings. Flooring, literary. Oh, Donald Newton, our operations manager, he is starting a new self-promoted series at the Dock Street Theater, along with some other local producers. And it's going to be pretty much talks with almost what the literary festival does, but talks with authors, talks with cast. There's a couple of groups that want to come in, like the Donnie McBride's groups and whatnot, and just have a audience talk type situation. And we weren't ready to start it just yet, but we've been approached with a great opportunity in January, and it might start as soon as January with a local artist who will be promoting his book. And we hope that we can get that under control, but that just started, the conversation just started last week. So we're a little, it's a little new right now, but we hope to have our first literary talk. We haven't even got a name for it. It's probably going to be something like a night at the Dock Street or something like that, but that should be starting soon. All the exciting stuff at the, at the Maritime Center. Lots of things going over there. I don't think the last time we talked, the transition dock wasn't completed. That was a lot of work that needed to be done from, I believe it was Hurricane Helene from a year ago, and that is completed. Now, the fuel docks have, not the entire fuel docks, the diesel, we haven't been able to sell diesel since Hurricane Helene. We thought we had fixed the problem a couple of times, but now we are finding out it's a electrical problem with electrical components, and we've got a couple of estimates from that. But Michael with Parks thinks that it can be handled in-house, so we've been able to sell fuel, just not diesel fuel, and hopefully we'll get the diesel dispensers up and running pretty soon. The IAM has moved into all of their new offices on the second floor of the Maritime Center. All of the office gear is there, but they've been in and out. Nobody's been in there full days yet. The IAM Cafe is under construction. That's going to be on the first floor of the Maritime Center, and there's no timeline on when that will be completed also. The Spirit of South Carolina has been hauled away for a 10-year inspection, and they found out that it has a lot of worm damage in the boot strip lining. I won't even say I know what that means, but worm damage, I understand from the wood. And because of the amount of damage, they don't expect the Spirit to be back before the end of the year. They don't have a timeline on when it will be back, but they know it will not be back before January 1st. And I believe that is it. Any questions for me? Other questions for me?
I was going to say, any other council members have questions on Romaine's report? All right, hearing none. Thank you, Romaine. That was very comprehensive, and glad to see we're continuing to move things along. So that's excellent news.
We're trying.
Yeah. All right, I believe that takes us to the end of the agenda. Do any of the other council members on the call have questions or concerns to the good of the order? All right, hearing none, I will call the meeting adjourned at 4:30. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and look forward to hearing about the Powder Magazine at our next meeting. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.